You wake up, you work, you sleep. Somewhere in the loop, you started wondering if this is really it. There's no crisis, no disaster, just this quiet feeling that something's missing. The Japanese have a word for what you're searching for, Ikigai, and it's simpler than you think. Most people assume finding purpose requires some dramatic revelation. You don't need to quit your job, move to another country, or have some spiritual awakening on a mountaintop. Ikigai isn't hiding in some distant future version of your life. It's already here, buried under routines you stopped questioning years ago. The concept comes from Okinawa, where people live longer than almost anywhere else on Earth. Researchers noticed something peculiar. These centenarians never talked about retirement. They had Ikigai, their reason for waking up each morning. Not a grand mission statement, just something that made getting out of bed feel worthwhile. Here's where it gets interesting. Ikigai isn't one thing. It lives at the intersection of four elements: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Picture a Venn diagram where all four circles overlap. That tiny space in the center, that's your Ikigai. Sounds neat in theory, but let's be honest, when you're staring at that diagram, it feels overwhelming. Four massive questions with infinite possible answers. Where do you even start? Start with what you already know. You don't need to discover yourself from scratch. Think about the last time you lost track of time doing something. Not scrolling, not binge watching, actually doing. That's your first clue. Maybe you were cooking. Maybe you were explaining something to a friend. Maybe you were organizing a chaotic spreadsheet. Whatever it was, your brain was fully engaged without forcing it. That's the what you love circle, not passion with fireworks and destiny, just activities that pull you in naturally. Most people overthink this part, waiting for some burning desire to announce itself. But Ikigai is quieter than that. It's the difference between I should do this and I want to do this. Now layer in what you're actually good at. This isn't about being world-class. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be capable enough that people notice. Maybe you're the person friends call when they need advice about a specific thing. Maybe you solve certain problems faster than your coworkers. These aren't bragging rights, they're data points. The tricky part? Sometimes what you love and what you're good at don't match. You might love painting but struggle with technique, or you might excel at analysis but find it draining. That tension is normal. Ikigai isn't about perfection in every circle. It's about finding enough overlap to build something meaningful. But here's what nobody tells you about those first two circles. Loving something and being good at it feels great, but it doesn't pay your rent. And doing work that serves no one except yourself gets hollow fast. That's where the other two circles come in. What the world needs and what you can be paid for. These aren't separate questions. They're connected in ways that aren't obvious at first. What the world needs isn't some abstract global problem you have to solve. It's usually smaller and closer than you think. Someone in your immediate circle has a problem. Your neighborhood has a gap. Your industry has an inefficiency. The world's needs show up as friction points in everyday life. And that friction? That's where money flows. Not always, not automatically, but more often than you'd expect. When you can solve a problem people actually have, using skills you've genuinely developed, doing work you don't hate, you've found something worth building around. But finding that intersection isn't a one-time event. It shifts as you change, as markets evolve, as life throws variables you didn't plan for. That's exactly why treating Ikigai like a career aptitude test misses the entire point. This isn't about locking in your answer at 25 and riding it out for 40 years. It's about adjusting as you move through different seasons of life. The entrepreneur who built a company around their Ikigai at 30 might find that same work suffocating at 50, not because they failed, but because they evolved. What you need from your work at different stages isn't static. Early on, maybe you need proof you can do something well. Later, you might crave impact over income. Eventually, you might want simplicity over status. Musashi understood this fluidity. He didn't cling to being only a swordsman. He painted, he wrote, he taught. Each phase built on the previous one but looked completely different from the outside. His Ikigai wasn't swordsmanship. It was mastery itself, expressed through whatever medium made sense at that point in his life. Here's what makes this difficult in practice. Society rewards specialists. Pick a lane, stay in it, build expertise, retire. Shifting feels like starting over, like admitting you were wrong before. But Ikigai doesn't work that way. Pivoting isn't failure, it's recalibration. You might spend 5 years building skills in one domain, then realize those skills solve a completely different problem better. That's not wasted time. That's compound interest on your capabilities. The consultant who becomes a teacher isn't abandoning their past. They're applying pattern recognition to a new context. This is where most people get stuck. They find something close to Ikigai, something that checks 3 of the 4 boxes, and they convince themselves it's enough. Maybe the work pays well and uses their skills and helps people, but they don't actually enjoy it. Or maybe they love it and they're good at it and it serves others, but it barely covers expenses. Living with 3 out of 4 isn't sustainable long term. You'll tolerate it for a while, maybe years, But eventually the missing piece creates enough friction that something breaks. Usually it's you. So what do you do when you're close but not quite there? You experiment at the edges. Keep your 3 out of 4 situations stable while testing small variations. Adjust the type of clients you take. Shift the format of how you deliver your work. Explore adjacent skills that might open new possibilities. Musashi didn't wake up one day as a master of multiple disciplines. He added layers gradually, each one informed by what came before. Incremental overlap beats radical reinvention almost every time. The final thing about Ikigai that separates it from Western goal setting, it's not about achievement, it's about engagement. You don't complete your Ikigai and then retire. You live it daily, in small, ordinary ways that accumulate into a life that feels coherent. Musashi's greatest jewels are remembered, but his Ikigai wasn't those moments. It was the 10,000 hours of practice nobody watched. The mornings he woke up and trained anyway. The discipline of showing up when nothing dramatic was happening. Your Ikigai won't announce itself with clarity and trumpets. It emerges through action, adjustment, and attention, through doing things, noticing what resonates, and building more of that into your life while cutting away what drains you. The intersection of those 4 circles isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a direction you move toward, one deliberate choice at a time. And the movement itself, that's the point. That feeling you started with, the one that made you wonder if there's more to this. It doesn't vanish because you found your Ikigai. It transforms into something else entirely, into curiosity about what comes next, into appreciation for what you're building right now. Most people spend their whole lives waiting for permission to pursue what matters to them, waiting for the right time, the right resources, the right level of certainty. But Ikigai doesn't require permission. It requires attention. Attention to what already pulls you forward. Attention to where your skills actually help someone. Attention to the gap between what you're doing and what you could be doing. The Okinawan centenarians didn't architect their perfect lives on spreadsheets. They noticed what made them feel useful and kept doing more of that. They adjusted when things stopped working. They stayed engaged with something beyond themselves. You don't need to figure out all 4 circles today. You just need to take one step closer to their intersection. Make one small shift toward work that energizes you instead of drains you. Solve one real problem for one real person. Build one skill that bridges what you love with what people need. The path isn't hidden. You've probably walked past it 100 times without recognizing it. Now you know what you're looking for.